I have learned over the years that the path to success is never a straight line. Life unfolds not according to chance, but according to the decisions we make and the thoughts we allow to dominate our minds. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." That simple truth has guided countless men and women to greatness, and it will guide you too, if only you allow it to shape your daily choices. It begins with desire. Not a passing wish, not a vague hope, but a burning, persistent desire that consumes the mind and sets the heart on fire. Hill reminds us, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. And so I asked myself, what is it that I truly desire? What vision compels me to wake every morning with energy and purpose? That vision, that unrelenting desire, becomes the foundation of all that follows. Yet desire alone is not enough. It must be married to faith. Faith is not blind optimism. It is the unwavering belief in oneself and in the infinite possibilities of the universe. Hill said, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When mixed with thought, it translates desire into its physical equivalent." I learned that faith transforms fear into courage, hesitation into action, and doubt into certainty. Without faith, desire is fragile, easily shattered by circumstance or criticism. But with faith, the mind aligns with the energy of achievement. In the early days, I faced fear, the same fear that paralyzes millions before they even begin. Hill wrote, "Fears are nothing more than states of mind. They can be overcome by the habit of courage." Fear whispered that I would fail, that my plans were impossible, that I was not worthy. Yet each time I chose action over inaction, the habit of courage grew stronger. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. With every small victory over fear, the mind becomes a fortress of confidence. Procrastination, too, threatened my progress. How often we tell ourselves that tomorrow will be the day, that next week, next month, or next year will be the right time. Hill warned, procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. I learned to act immediately, to seize the moment, to take the first step even when the path ahead was unclear. Momentum is a force far greater than we realize, and it begins with a single, decisive action. But action without persistence is fleeting. Hill observed, the majority of people are ready to throw their aims and purposes overboard and give up at the first sign of opposition or misfortune. Persistence is not mere stubbornness. It is the disciplined, repeated effort toward a definite purpose, guided by reason and fueled by desire and faith. I discovered that every obstacle, every setback, every failure was an opportunity to strengthen persistence. Those who endure, those who continue despite difficulty, eventually achieve victory. And yet persistence must be accompanied by a positive mental attitude. Hill emphasized, a positive mental attitude is the right mental attitude in all circumstances. Life will not always be kind. Challenges will arise. Circumstances may seem unfair, but maintaining a positive outlook transforms difficulties into opportunities, mistakes into lessons, and obstacles into stepping stones. Where others see defeat, the positive mind sees strategy. Where others see despair, it sees hope. I also learned the indispensable value of planning. Hill stated, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether ready or not. Planning is not perfectionism. It is the deliberate organization of steps toward a specific end. Every plan requires adjustment and refinement, but without a plan, effort scatters, focus drifts, and the mind becomes susceptible to distraction. My plans became maps, guiding each day's effort, each thought, each choice toward the ultimate goal. The mind, Hill taught, is fertile ground for thought. The subconscious mind acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feeling, such as faith. I learned to feed my subconscious with ideas of success, confidence, and possibility. Repetition, visualization, and emotional investment turned thoughts into beliefs, beliefs into actions, and actions into results. Your subconscious mind is always listening. Choose carefully what you plant within it. Imagination, too, became my ally. Hill wrote, "Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. Every product of human imagination can be translated into reality if backed by desire and persistence. Imagination allows you to see solutions where others see problems, to create strategies where others see only obstacles. Every innovation, every breakthrough, every fortune begins in the mind's eye." By exercising imagination daily, I discovered opportunities that would have been invisible to a passive mind. Indecision, I realized, was another enemy. Hill said, "Indecision is the seed of fear and the enemy of progress." To achieve mastery, I had to cultivate decisiveness. Every major choice required clarity of purpose, swift action, and a commitment to follow through. Indecision invites doubt, fear, and delay. Decisiveness generates momentum, clarity, and confidence. The mind becomes a weapon when decisions are made promptly and executed without hesitation. Equally important is the principle of the mastermind. Hill observed, "No individual may have great power without availing themselves of the mastermind." I sought out mentors, allies, and peers whose insight, discipline, and wisdom expanded my perspective. Collaboration multiplies ability. Surrounding myself with people who challenged me, supported me, and shared knowledge accelerated my growth beyond what I could achieve alone. Yet, even within a mastermind, personal effort and self-discipline remained indispensable. Failure, I discovered, is never final. Hill wrote, "Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success." Each misstep contained a lesson, each rejection revealed a correction, each loss strengthened resilience. The mind that embraces failure as a teacher rather than fearing it as a threat develops an unshakable foundation for achievement. I stopped fearing mistakes. Instead, I analyzed them, learned from them, and used them to advance. Accurate thinking became another guiding principle. Hill emphasized, "Gather facts, make decisions based on reason, and avoid the influence of unverified opinions." In a world flooded with noise, discernment is essential. Opinions are abundant, facts are finite. Choosing to act based on reason and verified information transforms effort into results. Knowledge without action is powerless. Action without knowledge is reckless. Together, they produce mastery. Self-discipline, Hill insisted, is the cornerstone of all achievement. Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts, and it is necessary for the control of your emotions and actions. Without discipline, desire dissipates, persistence falters, and plans collapse. With discipline, the mind becomes focused, the heart determined, and the will unbreakable. I learned to control impulses, regulate habits, and direct energy toward meaningful action. Specialized knowledge, Hill taught, converts effort into power. General knowledge, no matter how vast, is of little use in accumulating fortune. Knowledge applied intelligently and purposefully is power. I pursued mastery in the areas directly relevant to my goals. Learning became intentional, practice deliberate, and every skill acquired served a definite purpose. Knowledge without application is inert. Applied knowledge transforms dreams into reality. Enthusiasm, Hill emphasized, attracts opportunities, allies, and momentum. Enthusiasm is the sparkle in the eyes, the zest in action, the magnetism that draws others to your cause. Genuine enthusiasm energizes effort, inspires collaboration, and communicates confidence. It cannot be faked. It grows from purpose, belief, and persistent action. Each day, I nurtured enthusiasm as fuel for the journey, understanding that energy attracts results. The principles of desire, faith, persistence, imagination, self-discipline, accurate thinking, specialized knowledge, enthusiasm, positive mental attitude, mastermind alliances, decisiveness, and the willingness to learn from failure formed a network of interconnected habits that propelled me forward. Hill wrote, "The man who succeeds does so because he has mastered the principles of success and applies them with unwavering persistence." I came to understand that success is not a destination. It is a habit, a daily practice, a conscious alignment of thought, emotion, and action. Hill reminds us, success comes to those who become success conscious. To be success conscious is to live deliberately, to act intentionally, to focus persistently on what matters most. And so I carried these lessons into every decision, every effort, every moment. I reminded myself daily, I am the master of my destiny. I can influence, direct, and control my own environment. I can make my life what I want it to be. This became my mantra, my compass, my shield against distraction and doubt. The journey was neither smooth nor easy. Setbacks tested my resolve. Temptations threatened focus. Fear and doubt tried to infiltrate the mind, but every principle I applied, desire, faith, persistence, imagination, self-discipline, positive mental attitude, and mastery of thought became a step, a bridge, a ladder to the next level of achievement. And now I see clearly that Napoleon Hill's teachings are not mere words. They are tools, blueprints, and guiding lights. They are the map by which the mind navigates chaos, the compass by which the soul steers toward purpose, and the fire that ignites action. As I move forward, I continue to remind myself, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The journey is continuous, the learning never ends, and the principles, timeless and universal, illuminate the path for anyone willing to think, believe, act, and persist. As I continued on this path, I realized more deeply that success is not merely the accumulation of wealth or accolades. It is the result of mastering the mind, the emotions, and the habits that guide every action. Napoleon Hill wrote, "The ladder of success is never crowded at the top. The climb is personal. The effort is internal. The victory belongs to those who cultivate the mental and emotional faculties required for achievement." I began to see life as a mirror of thought. It is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed, Hill reminded. The power of service became evident. When I focused on creating value, on lifting others, on solving problems, doors opened naturally. Opportunity is attracted not by desperation, but by usefulness. Each person I aided, each idea I shared, became a stepping stone, reinforcing the principle that giving amplifies receiving. Yet giving alone is insufficient without a clear purpose. Hill emphasized, a definite chief aim is the starting point of all achievement. I crafted my own definite purpose with precision. I visualized it, I wrote it down, I memorized it, and I recited it daily. The mind requires a fixed point to aim at. Without it, energy disperses, efforts falter, and achievement remains elusive. Desire, aligned with a definite aim, creates the tension necessary to mobilize action. I encountered challenges that seemed insurmountable, yet each obstacle revealed the importance of the mastermind principle. Hill observed, no individual may have great power without availing themselves of the mastermind. I sought mentors and collaborators whose insight illuminated paths I could not see alone. Together, we combined knowledge, experience, and vision into a force far greater than the sum of individual efforts. Alignment with those who share purpose multiplies ability exponentially. Doubt, however, remained a persistent visitor. Hill wrote, "You might well remember that nothing can bring you success but yourself." I discovered that external circumstances, criticism, or temporary failures are insignificant compared to the power of self-belief. When doubt arises, it is a signal to return to faith, to reinforce desire, and to act decisively. Internal mastery eclipses external conditions every time. I also came to understand the transformative power of specialized knowledge. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. I pursued learning relentlessly. Books, mentors, experiments, and reflection became the laboratories of my mind. But more than accumulation, application was critical. Knowledge must be applied deliberately, persistently, and with emotional intensity to yield tangible results. As I applied these principles, I saw the principle of accurate thinking manifest in every success. Hill wrote, "Think accurately and you will act wisely. Think inaccurately and you will act foolishly." Critical thinking, careful analysis, and informed decision-making became daily practices. Rumors, assumptions, and popular opinion no longer swayed me. Facts and reason guided every step. Accurate thinking turns the mind into a precision instrument, capable of converting ideas into measurable achievements. Persistence became the fuel that bridged intention and accomplishment. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel, Hill said. Each day I recommitted. Each time I encountered failure, I analyzed, adjusted, and pressed forward. The habit of persistence became almost instinctive. It is a quality cultivated not in comfort, but in adversity, where ordinary effort fails and only determination endures. I also learned that enthusiasm is contagious and indispensable. Hill emphasized, enthusiasm is the sparkle in the eyes, the zest in action, the magnetism that draws others to your cause. Genuine passion inspired collaboration, attracted allies, and generated energy that sustained prolonged effort. Without enthusiasm, even the most brilliant plans stagnate. With it, even modest efforts achieve extraordinary results. Hill's principle of self-discipline remained a foundation. Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. The mind cannot be left to wander aimlessly. Habits dictate outcomes. Daily routines, measured actions, and controlled impulses became the architecture of my achievement. I learned to resist distractions, manage emotions, and maintain focus on the ultimate aim. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation from chaos. Visualization and auto-suggestion became tools of transformation. Hill wrote, "Through the aid of your subconscious mind, you may voluntarily plant in your mind a dominating desire which will bring you everything you desire." Night after night, I imagined my success in vivid detail. I spoke to myself with conviction. I allowed the subconscious to absorb the reality of my aims, creating internal momentum even when external circumstances seemed stagnant. The mind is a fertile field. Thought, belief, and emotion are the seeds. I began to recognize the subtle tyranny of negative influence. Hill warned, avoid the negative, cultivate the positive, and keep your mind open only to constructive ideas. People, media, and events that drained energy or instilled doubt were removed from my environment. Protecting the mind from negativity is as important as cultivating its strengths. Mental hygiene, clarity, and selective exposure preserve the focus necessary for achievement. Procrastination, that persistent thief of time, was conquered by action. Hill wrote, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right." I learned to begin immediately, to act decisively, and to rely on incremental progress. Action, even imperfect, generates feedback, learning, and momentum. Waiting for ideal conditions breeds stagnation. Taking immediate action creates opportunity. Through every trial, the principle of creative imagination proved indispensable. Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. I imagined solutions, visualized innovations, and approached problems with curiosity rather than fear. Imagination transforms obstacles into opportunities, scarcity into abundance, and failure into insight. It is the laboratory of success. I also internalized Hill's insight on the law of attraction in a practical sense. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Belief is not passive. It demands action, persistence, and preparation. The mind shapes the perception of reality. Thoughts of success create behaviors that invite results. Thoughts of failure create patterns that attract defeat. Control the mind and you steer destiny. The principle of learning from adversity became clear. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." I began to analyze missteps not as defeats but as data. Each challenge offered insight. Each mistake revealed a corrective strategy. Each setback clarified priorities. Adversity is the sculptor of character and the architect of resilience. Decision-making, decisiveness, and action were inseparable. Indecision is the seed of fear and the enemy of progress. Every choice, however minor, carried consequences. Habitual promptness in decision-making strengthened the mind, reduced doubt, and generated continuous momentum. The confident mind converts choice into action with clarity and purpose. Faith, above all, remained the guiding light. Hill wrote, Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When mixed with thought, it translates desire into its physical equivalent. I cultivated faith not as wishful thinking, but as a deliberate mental state supported by evidence, preparation, and action. Faith amplified desire, directed persistence, and summoned the creative faculties of the mind. Through the cumulative application of these principles, I discovered that success is a compound effect. Desire fuels faith. Faith generates persistence. Persistence attracts knowledge and action. Knowledge and imagination create solutions. Discipline and decisiveness convert ideas into results. Enthusiasm sustains energy. Collaboration amplifies ability. Accurate thinking preserves clarity. Failure teaches lessons. Positivity attracts opportunity. And the subconscious mind unites all into a harmonious force toward achievement. Hill wrote, "Success comes to those who become success conscious." To be success conscious is to live intentionally, to think with purpose, to act with persistence, and to integrate every principle of achievement into daily life. Consciousness of success is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is mastery over thought, emotion, and action. As I reflect on the journey, I understand that these principles are not abstract. They are practical, actionable, and universal. The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does, Hill observed. Every effort, every deliberate action, every thought aligned with principle generates returns. The universe responds not to desire alone, but to directed, persistent, and principled effort. Finally, I internalized Hill's ultimate message. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. No circumstance, no failure, no criticism, no delay can diminish the power of a mind committed to definite purpose, sustained by faith, guided by principle, and energized by persistent action. And so the journey continues. Every day presents a new canvas for thought, action, and achievement. The principles of success are timeless. They are not contingent on luck, inheritance, or circumstance. They belong to all who choose to learn, apply, and persist. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This is not merely a quote. It is a law of life, a promise of potential, and a roadmap for those willing to walk the path of mastery. The climb is ongoing, the lessons continue, and the results accumulate. By applying these principles relentlessly, consciously, and with unwavering belief, the life I envisioned emerges, step by deliberate step, thought by intentional thought, action by persistent action. And now, as I share these insights with you, I understand that the journey is as important as the destination. It is the disciplined application of these principles that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results, and ordinary life into a masterpiece of achievement. Every obstacle now seems surmountable. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every opportunity becomes a platform. Hill wrote, "You might well remember that nothing can bring you success but yourself." And so I continue to harness thought, belief, action, and principle, knowing that the power to create is mine, and that the principles of achievement will guide me ever onward. This is the essence of success. The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he cannot are both right. Belief shapes reality. Desire fuels faith. Persistence converts effort into accomplishment. The journey of mastery is never-ending, and yet every principle applied brings tangible results, measurable growth, and the fulfillment of purpose. I now move forward with the certainty that the principles Hill taught are eternal, universal, and practical. And with each conscious application, each deliberate step, each disciplined action, I embody the truth that, indeed, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.